Hi and welcome to this week's GMBN Tech Show. What we've got coming up this week?
We've got a Pinarello Dogma XC hardtail.
Oh, we've got some prototype stuff from the XC World Champs.
And some new chain rings from Hope.
And more great stuff for you lot. Okay, into this week's show, and of course we're just off the back end now of the Mountain Bike World Championships. And I'm just wondering, purely just for myself, but what was the brand or the product that actually sort of won the most out of everything? So there's a lot of numbers and stuff to look into, so I've kind of just simplified it here and looked at the gold medal position in each category. So excluding trials, purely because of the basis that you don't have things like suspension there. We've got downhill, XC short course, XCO and XCM, the XC Marathon of course. And just been looking through all this, and suddenly it seems very obvious that there's a lot of stuff that's won that actually you might not consider this, actually. I'll go straight in with tyres, actually, on this one, because I think for years it's arguably Maxxis, you would just say, assume that they're one of the biggest contender teams. Actually, Continental had 5 wins over Maxxis with 3, Schwalbe with 3, and Vittoria with a single one.
But they have absolutely been dominating teams in both downhill and cross-country. So,
yeah, I mean, I think their cross-country tyres have always been good, but it's no secret their downhill tyres haven't been brilliant in the past, but from everything everyone says, their downhill tyres are excellent at the moment and they're really dialed in. And
both of the wins in downhill as well.
Of course,
tyres, from Valley Hole and Charlie Hatton there.
Yeah, excellent stuff, yeah. And then of course, moving on to the obvious one, the gearing on the bikes, which of course is between SRAM and Shimano, and it's 8 to Shimano and 4 to SRAM, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think SRAM seems to be dominating the downhill, and again, both the wins from Charlie and Valley on the downhill.
Yeah.
And I think maybe like the cross country skews it a bit because it's definitely a favourite in cross country, isn't it, Shimano?
Yeah. For
sure.
Yeah, to junior men's and women under 23 on SRAM. All the rest was Shimano.
Yeah.
That's a huge result for them.
Yeah, for sure. And you definitely see more sponsorship, don't you? There's more teams getting supported by Shimano in the XCOs. And I guess they have to run the same bike in XCC, so I guess that's kind of doubling it up as well. Well, what about suspension? Surely, a bit more broad there. Yeah,
a little bit more. Okay, so, Fox were there with 4 wins, RockShox with 3, Suntour with 3, and Cannondale with 2. Now, something I find particularly interesting, and dare I say a little bit amusing, is that 2 of those Suntour wins was the XCO, both gold positions. And you've got SRAM, of course, who've got their latest SIDs, which are phenomenal forks. And of course, we saw a lot of prototypes, which we're going to be talking about with the flight attendant. And actually, ones that won were both, it was Pidcock and PVP, both on the Suntour products.
Yeah.
And so it's no secret, like Olympic proven already, like Suntour's coming.
Yeah, so
sure.
I mean that team is obviously skewing the numbers a little bit there because they're dominating. But it's great to see another brand in there. I said to you I was surprised not to see Öhlins, but I think if we'd have got a broader podium spectrum on brands, you would see it creep in there. Because I have never seen more Öhlins on racetracks than now.
No, you're right.
Downhill and
in cross country now
as well, which is just great to see.
Obviously, take these numbers with a pinch of salt because this is just the golds. If you did up to top 5 in all categories, it would be very different, I'm sure.
For sure.
But it's still interesting to see. I mean, frame-wise, you got an Atherton frame, a Trek, 2 Canyons, 2 Pinarellos. One was a hardtail, the brand new one, which we'll talk about in news, and the full suspension, 1 Orbea, 2 Cannondales, 1 Scott, and 1 Calloy. I'd actually forgotten that Avicini had moved over from Cannondale to Calloy.
Oh.
Yeah, which threw me because I was just like, hey,
yeah.
What's he doing on that?
So that would have been another account for Cannondale if he'd have stuck around. But yeah, so Cannondale supporting the sort of under 23s, and that's how they've crept in there.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen them up at the top for a long, long time. Really.
No, for sure. Yeah. Something that did please me was in the brake field. You've obviously got Shimano and you've got SRAM. Shimano had 8 sets of brakes. SRAM had 3, and Hayes had a single set. But it is nice to see a single set in there just from a different brand, whoever the brand may be. And that, of course, was on Charlie Hatton's bike. And if you haven't tried them, I actually posted about this randomly the other day. Hayes brakes at the moment are phenomenal. They're so powerful. If you're in the market for something that's a little bit different, check them out. Very cool.
Yeah, and Rich was saying that he'd spoken to Tom Pidcock and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, and they actually did testing on SRAM and Shimano and chose Shimano.
Of course, because they've got the right to do that within their team.
Yeah, exactly. So although you might say, well, that's what's been given to the team, there are some instances where they get to choose. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Maybe spark up a little debate on what you think. Outside of the winners, who was dominating the scene? I mean, Öhlins obviously coming in and Shimano dominating XCC, but did you notice any other common trends or any brands that we didn't spot? Let us know down in the comments below.
Okay, straight into news, and Hope have got new chainring. Hope, of course, are responsible for making loads of new stuff, loads of alloy stuff, made in Britain. They're always coming up with the latest stuff to make sure the compatibility is out there. These are chainrings. This is the R22, you can see it on screen here. So it's got an updated spider profile on here, more mud clearance, longer chain service life. There's compatibility for all transmissions and drivetrains, including 9, 10, 11, 12, for Hyperglide Plus, and of course a new T-type setup. So that means if you've got the latest new SRAM stuff, you're going to be able to use one of these. Load of shots on screen, of course, all the typical Hope colours, the beautiful finish as you expect. I am pleased to start seeing some T-type stuff filtering through that's not SRAM. I'm not opposed to that stuff, but it's always nice if you want to have the custom option of picking stuff that is designed for it.
Interesting, because they did say that it's only compatible with their own chain rings. So.
Yeah. But you know, they said that with X-Sync,
right? Okay.
To start with, and then of course, but I think people had to license that tech, so I don't know if Hope had to license it or if they just make it compatible. So it's all made from 7076 T6 aluminium evenly, 28 tooth to 36 tooth available. It's funny, you say massive, but it's like it's...
the range, I mean.
Oh, like, massive, not the actual physical size.
No, but it's just so rare to see a 26 tooth, so thanks for that.
Oh, sorry, 28.
Sorry, 28.
Either way, that's tiny. You can also get different mounts for different chain lines and stuff as well. So 104 BCD for 4 bolt, direct mount boost offset for 52 or 55 mil chain lines on there. Bros and Bosch as well for e-bikes. So loads of options, black, silver, blue, red, purple, available about now, I think.
Cool. So over in the world of YT, they have a new model for the Capra. It's not a new Capra, I should say. This is now the Uncaged 10, which is effectively what they're calling their big hit spec. So it's only available in mixed wheel size at the moment, with that sort of grey and red paint job, but it is available in carbon or aluminium, and that big hit spec is Fox 38 Performance with GX mechanical, SRAM GX mechanical, and a DHX coil rear shock. So if you're looking at the alley, that's €2,999, or the carbon is €3,499.
I like the way YT do stuff. They, it's nothing major, in terms of any new stuff. They just sort of update and revise things here and there. It's good. It doesn't feel like if you just bought one, you've been done out of it. No. I think it's a nice way of doing things.
Yeah.
Next one. Don't know how I feel about this. I'm not a fan.
Right.
It's a new Pinarello Dogma. It's proven and it's clearly an excellent frame. I just think their looks are a bit Marmite just because of it's not very not very traditional as far as a classic double diamond frame goes. Obviously, it's got the extra triangle down there just above the bottom bracket. They've put this in basically along with that sort of slightly asymmetrical back end, should we call it, to basically counter the torque that you put through from the transmission side. So it's supposed to be very equal in terms of flex under power. Basically, I think that's what they're trying to get at. A load of shots of it on screen here. So it's got an integrated cockpit setup on there. It's got a 60-degree internal stopper, so you can't basically damage your top tube. You've seen knock blocks, you've seen Trek doing similar things. This is their take on that, which is a great idea on a super lightweight frame. Last thing you want to do is have a crash and take a chunk out of that top tube.
I've done that.
Yeah, it's not nice, eh? Built for 100mm travel forks, 2.3 tyre clearance on there, dropper compatible. We don't have any geometry currently, but it's just won a world championship. So I don't think you need to hear much else. If you're into hardtails, you want extreme lightweight, something that's track proven, and if you love that road brand, of course, that's going to be why you love it. Yeah,
well, if the full sus is coming out potentially next year, I suspect we'll see the hardtail.
See, that does appeal to me.
Oh, really?
I'm not against this. It's just...
You don't like hardtails, though?
No, I was just saying to you a minute ago that I really like your hardtail.
Oh, okay, you like the look of it, but you don't like riding them.
No, that's fine. I can still appreciate these things. I don't know what it is. It's just not quite for me. I'd love to know what you think. Is this obscure? Is it cool? Is it really cool because it's just won world champs? Or is it a meh? Let us know down there.
I am conflicted as well. Anyway, over in the world of Schwalbe, they have finally released that Taki Chan, the tyre with potentially the best name in the industry, and not a name with alliteration, which is Schwalbe's usual signature.
Yeah.
Now, you've obviously seen it at Eurobike, we've seen it in the pits of downhill World Cups for about the last 2 years, I think, and we can finally purchase it ourselves. So it is downhill specific tyre. It's optimised for precision according to Schwalbe, and what that means is they've offered more support in the shoulders, on the edges, or apparently there's more support than say a Magic Mary. You also have more space for mud clearance, and then also apparently it gives you a bit of a more direct, predictable feel as well. You've got long braking edges, which allows you to brake later, and they've got ramps in the centre for better rolling or less rolling resistance, I guess. And apparently this is claimed to be 8% lighter than the Magic Mary, so it should be a racing alternative. So that is available in 2.4 with 29-inch or 27.5. And you can have it in all of their compounds and casing, so super downhill, you've got the Addix Soft and their Addix Ultra Soft as well, and you're looking at $98 for that.
Yeah, it's a good looking tyre to be fair.
Looks aggressive.
I'm fairly sure as well that they're still continuing the Magic Mary. I think that's like one of the most popular, certainly in the UK. As soon as it gets a bit loose, everyone's like, Magic Mary on the front. Like,
yeah,
pretty predictable tyre.
It is magic.
I guess it's just like the proper hammed up raced version of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, cool looking tyre. Strange name as well. It's a cool name, but
I like it.
I'm not against the name. I just find it strange when everything's like Nobby Nick and Racing Ralph. You know, that it just suits, and Taki Chan, although it is a pretty funny name,
it is
just
funny.
a bit strange for them. Okay, and a bit more sort of prototype stuff from the world of the cross-country races out there. Now, we've seen on Nino Schurter's bike before, it's already race proven that he's been using a variation of the flight attendant for his cross-country forks, and we're obviously speculating here, but it's clearly getting a bit closer to something we're going to be able to buy ourselves on bikes, because it's on loads of other racers' bikes that we've seen at the World Championships. And given how long Nino was running the old Access stuff before we started seeing on other racers' bikes, I'd say this is real close to production right now. So there's a few shots just on screen we've just grabbed from a few athletes' pages here. So Yolanda Neff had it on her Sid fork, and of course on that unique shock that's on her Trek bike as well, as made by RockShox. So the fact that it's on that shock as well as more conventional shocks, I just think, come on, it's got to be nearly there. Vlad Dascalu on Trek Factory Racing as well had it on his bike. Luana Lecomte on her Canyon. You could see that she's going over the edge of that real steep roller. She just gets off the back of the bike, and you can see on the shock. It's really quite minimal compared to what we've seen on the the enduro-focused flight attendant setup. The Santa Cruz bikes of Luca Bradot and Marty Berta as well. Like I said, I think it's close. SRAM say otherwise, but looking at the writings on the wall here, I would probably say, I don't know, Christmas or maybe just after Christmas feels about the right time.
Wonder if they'll drop.
Complete speculation. They have not told me that. I'm just looking at how they've done things in the past, and although you could say because it's world champs, they just want to get as many people on it, but not everyone was. Evie Richards wasn't on it, but Yolanda was, and it's like, but maybe she had the choice to try something new or not. But
I wonder if they'll drop before Sun Tour. His version. I'm kind of excited about that.
I think, the money's on to do that. And it'll be interesting to see the effect that this has on the whole live valve thing. So I feel like live valve is just almost feels dead in the water compared to...
Did it ever take off?
But the thing is, it is excellent, but the fact you've got all the wires and stuff that go with it, I mean, it does make it actuate quicker, like marginally quicker, you probably wouldn't even notice it, to be fair, than flight attendant. The fact that flight attendant is minimal, there's no cables, none of that rubbish, it's almost a perfect product, if that's what... So, if you're looking for that lockout stuff.
Cool. Well, that's the news. Well, it's quiz time, isn't it?
It's always quiz time. Yeah. Okay,
you put these together, but I will read them out. So name 10 mountain bike brands that are named after their founders. There's more than 10.
There's loads, yeah. This is bike brands, by the way, not components.
Modest owners.
Yeah. All right, before gravel bikes were a thing, RockShox made a road bike suspension fork called the Mag 21 SL Paris-Roubaix, especially for that notorious stage of the Tour de France. How many times did it win it?
Oh, good question. I saw
I
that.
don't know
at
what made me
TF
think of putting that
Tuned.
in as a question.
No,
but-
very strange. And the final question is, how did the Santa Cruz V10 get its name? I do not know that. I'll have to wait.
Answers a bit later.
Okay, it's comments time, and we were talking about, well, we watched the Boxer World
Boxer Worlds,
Championships
yeah.
last week, and I have Francis D995 says, loving the Boxer Championships. Yeah, I feel like this should be like a series. Like, we should have like series winners. Like,
I think it's really
that would be
cool.
great.
I think it's really cool that they do it still.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would be interesting to do a bit more of that sort of stuff actually, but I can't see what would better that. And if you did that particular one too many times, it might lose its sort of novelty.
Yeah, maybe. But then if you had a series, you could be like, you could have like a damper service, and then you could have like a lower leg service, and like you'd have different
Mechanics,
World Cups.
basically just mechanics world champs,
yeah.
but actually, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
I like it, yeah. Next up, does a mechanic that wins get any money?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, so
I thought they just got
it's-
drunk.
Well, that as well.
And good respect.
No, I believe they get a £500
Oh, good for them.
Bonus for it, yeah.
And probably have to pay for the aspirin for the hangover.
Yeah,
Why are you
maybe.
doing that?
I've got feedback. Zaloop says, dude at 2:26 should have been DQ'd.
Was that pouring beer on the floor?
It was that guy who just went like that
Yeah, literally
behind him,
behind him, it's like-
and literally half a can just poured out.
So
yeah, I
Tim-
might be with you on that one.
Tim Fluke's British mechanic, I don't know how many times he won it over the years, but he would just absolutely cane everyone 'cause he's British and he's
Good at
he's one of
drinking.
those people who's just like, just pour it straight in. Next up from Big Bird 2451, I used to work and race for a shop that was just up the street from Rock Shocks back when they were in Santa Cruz. Our local team got both or DHOs and original boxers just before the pro riders did. Wow, even PT. So they had to wait for shipping, whereas we were just up the street. I've still got them. Oh, dude,
That's
send us some
cool.
pictures. Love to see those.
Also, remember we were looking at Daz the Cyclist's
Tappy.
Yeti?
Yep.
Well, he says that Yeti is pretty much built. Photos are on the way. So
Good. Look forward to seeing
hopefully
them.
we get them soon.
Awesome stuff.
But yeah, thanks for your comments. Well, today I've decided to go for a bike cave because we haven't gone for a bike cave for a while,
a bike
and I
cave.
love bike caves. In fact, I love them so much. I've put two in here because this first one really spoke to me. I was looking at these walls just full of stuff, like almost like he was an old bike shop.
Yep.
And the first thing I thought was, do you remember that Mint Sauce cartoon where you were in his shed?
Fridge suck.
And there's just like, no, not the fridge one, the one where you're in his shed, and it's like a really detailed picture of
I
his
do
shed.
know the
There's
one. I do know
tires,
the one.
shelves,
Yep.
there's just like bits everywhere, and that's what this looks like. And I absolutely love it. This is from Stephen in Hampshire. I don't know if that's, I'm pretty sure that's UK Hampshire, but yeah, riding his Orange Crush, Clockwork, and 5 and Alpine 160. That man is a real orange advocate.
Looks partial to a can of lager and a takeaway as well. Looking at all those. To be fair, I do exactly the same. The takeaway cartons are
I know,
they're really
right?
good for.
He says he
keep
tries
stuff
to maximise all the space, to
Yeah.
cram all of this stuff in by having tall walls, and yeah, he has a Zwift set up permanently as well. So nice, I love it. And then my second one is
Wow.
slightly different, but man, you can tell this is in the States straight away.
Just the
Am I right?
space,
Yeah, the
yeah.
space you guys
Oh.
get in the States is just unreal. You'd be shocked if you come here.
Just gutted, I
But
think.
this is
Yeah.
William from Western Wyoming in the USA, and this is just the back of his garage. It's
I
not
would
the
love-
entirety of his garage.
love
That's
to have
just the
that much
back.
space.
Just a modest little workshop at the back here. But yeah, he's turned that into a place for bicycle repairs with a big bench and lots of room to work, as you can see. And he's got the kids and the wife into it, not to mention some snowboards in the rafters. So that is a full-on family affair. In there.
I'm very, very envious of that one. There's space in there.
Yeah.
Mine is like that one. Everything's all crammed in on top of each other. You've got to be super efficient.
What I'd give for just the space in the rafters. Which
That
is,
and
I'd
that
love
bench
that.
space. I'd have my decks in there as well.
I know,
reckon.
right? Well, thank you for sending in your bike caves, and don't forget to use our uploader link. I'll put it down below. And we take bike caves, we take retro rewinds, and we take, what else do we take?
Top mods.
Top mods. We never get
Anything
top
you've done
mods.
to your bike to make it better. Anything. Send it in. Get involved. All right. Do you want to take the first one on again then? This was just some random ones. I'm sure there's other ones as well.
So,
any 10 will do.
10, which, wow, there's loads. So you could have had Atherton, you could have had Pinarello. I know they're kind of roady, but you know, it's in there.
They're making them out.
They're making them now.
Yep.
GT, so is that Gary Turner?
Gary Turner, that's right,
Juliana named
Furtado.
after a person, not necessarily the owner. That was a racer, wasn't it?
Yeah, all right, fair enough. But...
Commensal, Max Commensal, obviously. Scott, Lapierre, Orbea, all the Orbea brothers, of course. Bianchi, Breezer, Nikolai. I didn't know that. Ellsworth, Cranfield, Linsky, and White Bike.
Although the white one, I did put that one at the end, and I kind of thought, actually, it's not quite right. The company wasn't founded by John White, but John White was the suspension designer who was like a Formula One suspension guy, and they named the company after him.
Oh,
so it's kind of named in a roundabout way.
He's kind of a founder.
I bet there's loads of other ones.
Yeah.
Right, come on.
Have we missed any?
Get involved down
in the comments below.
Yeah.
Right, what was your second one?
Okay, so before gravel bikes were a thing, RockShox made the fork, the Mag 21 SL Paris-Roubaix edition. How many times did it win the Paris-Roubaix? It was 3 times, and it was consecutively 92, 93 and 94, which is pretty wild if you consider that how long ago that is before suspension sort of surfaced again on road-type bikes.
Yeah, and I saw these at TF Tune, didn't I?
Cool
and
fork.
It looks like a gravel fork from today.
Yeah.
Those like tapered ends and all sorts.
Yeah, people laughed at them.
And 30 mil of travel, wasn't it? Yeah, that's a gravel fork now.
And people like, they're way too heavy, and they laughed at them. It's like,
yeah.
So kind of ahead of the curve a bit there.
So how did Santa Cruz get the V10 as its name? So although the modern version is 215 mils effectively, it was originally 10 inches of travel. So that's
255.
That's huge.
Massive amount of travel. Yeah, they kind of overcooked it and came back a bit.
Yeah, the pendulum swung back a little bit.
Because like V8.5 doesn't sound quite as good as a V10, does it?
No, and it's weird that we've moved from inches back to millimetres.
Oh, let's not get started on the bike industry of inches and millimetres and foot and yards and just every other measurement possible.
But anyway, thank you for joining us, and do join into the debate down in the comments below. Did you see any dominant brands at the cross country or in the downhill? Let us know down in the comments below. Who was your favourite this year? So we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Bye.